Okay, so in our last video, we went from binary to decimal, and we'll do it the opposite in this video. We'll go from decimal to binary. So let's look again at our base 2. So we know that 2 of 0 is 1, 2 to the first power is 2, and we're going to put this little chart at the bottom of our page for reference. And we're going to go decimal to binary. Our decimal number here is going to be 65. So how do we convert 65 into binary? Well, it's actually very simple. Yay, it's always good to be simple. All right, so let's go. So what you do is you look for the highest number that will go into 65. In other words, if I look here at 128, the highest base 2 that I have listed on my little graph here, does 128 go into 65? I don't know which way is easier for you to see it, but can 65 be divided by 128? Well, of course not. That doesn't, mathematically, it's going to give us a bunch of decimals, and that's not what we wanted here. So this is not a viable option. And so we're going to just place a 0 in that column, in that placeholder, and we'll go to the next column. And the next column is 64. And we ask ourselves, does 64 go into 65? Well, yeah, it does, doesn't it? So it goes in once, and that gives us one remainder. So I also put that up here for reference. 65 minus 64, we have 1. So now we're looking at this 1. This is now the number that we'll be looking to see if where we're going to place our, let me just show you, because I don't know how to explain that. So let me just visualize it. That's why I made these fancy slides. Okay, so we put the 1 here in this column because it in fact was divisible by the 64. So this was, we want to hold that value. Okay, so then we go to the next column, but this time we're looking at 1. So now, which is our leftovers from the 64 column prior. So now we look at, does 32 go into 1? Well, no, that doesn't. So we continue on then. Does 16 go into 1? No, it doesn't. Okay. Does 8 go into 1? Nope. How about 4? Nope. Okay, so notice we're placing zeros, indicating that this is not one of this is not a value that we're going to be utilizing. Does 2 go into 1? Nope. And then finally, does 1 go into 1? Well, it sure does. It goes in once, doesn't it? And then it leaves us a remainder of 0. So we want to indicate a 1 in this column. So this is the binary conversion for our decimal 65. Easy, right? What I suggest you do is try doing this yourself, and you can always go on the internet and Google decimal to binary converters and plug in a decimal. You'll get the conversion in binary so you can check your work, but be sure you can work through it like we did in this example. All right, so we're going to look at one more example. Let's look at converting the number 15. So same way that we went about it in the last one. Let's look at our highest number here in our base 2, and we're going to try and decide if 128 goes into 15. Can 15 be divided by 128? Well, no, it can't. So we'll put a 0 here and move on to the next place. So we have 64. Can 64 go into 15? Nope. So we'll put a 0 there, and we'll move on to the next placeholder. Can 32 go into 15? No. All right, moving on. Can 16 go into 15? No. Can 8 go into 15? Well, yay, we finally got something that'll work. So yes, 8 will go into 15. It'll go in once, and we'll have a remainder of 7. 1 times 8 is 8. 15 minus 8 is 7. So we'll put a 1 here in this column, and we'll move on to the next one with our remainder of 7. So now we're looking at, can 4 go into that remainder 7? Yep, can go in once. 1 times 4 is 4, so 7 minus 4 is 3. So now we're looking at the number 3. We want to make sure we put an indicator there that we were able to use up that 4. And we move into the next column. Can 2 go into that remainder? So there's our remainder here. Can 2 go into 3? Yes, it can. It can go in once. 1 times 2 is 2 with the remainder of 1. So we want to put a 1 to indicate we've used this placeholder. And then we have 1 remaining. So we'll put our 1 in here up in our next column. Can 1 divided by 1? Remember, there are remainders going in here, and we're using the 1 here. So can 1 go into 1? Yes, it can. It goes in once with no remainder. So because we were able to use this 1, we put a 1 in this column. So the decimal value for, the binary value for 15 is 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1. 4 ones, 4 and 4. So that's how you do it. Practice, 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 and I'm sure you'll have no trouble doing it also.